Okay, so we're back here. So it turned out my dog just wanted to be fed pretty much again. I gave up. As much as I'm trying to keep the dog on a diet and stuff, yeah, listening to her whine doesn't really work. Anyway, so last video we were working on getting the sentry guns to shoot at rockets. Unfortunately, there's something wrong with our rocket because it's identifying the rocket, but it's having trouble tracking the rocket because the rocket's flying faster than it really should. So we need to come up with a system to fix this. And it really comes down to we've got to mess with the throwable heading system. So we have the gun fires the entity. It creates the entity perfectly fine, although our entity isn't really rendering properly, but it's a bug all by itself. So when we do our stuff, we're kind of trying to, I don't know, get things to function properly here. So we create our entity, so we set a throwable heading, so we should get a velocity thing here. So what we're going to do is we're use that velocity code which we created earlier. We're going to go projectile.get velocity. Then we're going to multiply this by our expected projectile system here. Because we should get an ammo type somewhere in here. Yeah, it should be next round. Get velocity. So that should be what our actual velocity is. And this way we can just go projectile.motionx equals pos.x, projectile.motion.y equals pos.y, and then projectile.motion.z equals pos.z. That'll give us a more accurate velocity. Of course, we set our velocity to be really low, so that should fix it when it comes to velocity. So right now we're still going to meter a second. And then on top of this, I'm going to hit F3B so I can turn collision boxes on, so I can sort of see what this thing's doing. Yeah, we're getting like a grenade arc right now. So there's some gravity still on this projectile. We're going to remove gravity off this. This will be the easiest solution right now. So we're going to projectile type, and I think there's a thing for this. To a couple other things too. There's a few things I think are borked with the projectiles. Hasn't been a lot of time spent on just making sure that these function appropriately. I'm trying to figure out where we're doing gravity right now. I think it's got to be like update motion is what it's got to be. Because this is all collision stuff. And here's our, basically what we're about to hit. There should be an update motion check somewhere around here. Yeah, here's update motion. Which we've got decrease motion, which is, yeah, here's what we need to do. So we just need to turn decrease motion off. This is pretty much what causes us to fall out of the sky. But we're going to turn off physics for our bullets temporarily while I work on making them function properly. So we just do that real quick. To do implement bullet physics. I got to actually change this because the amount of motion we're losing is a little too high, so we're going to have to come up with a mass system. A lot of the bullets do have mass programmed into them, so it's not too hard to figure out how much we would be losing and having them gravitate properly. Plus, we would have to do rockets should not lose velocity until out of fuel. This basically means we're going to have to do a fuel check system here later. And I got to restart to make that work, so we'll get on to that. We're almost done, though. Then we can move on to the next set of bugs and stuff we have to work on. So right now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to polish up all the content for this client so that way I can sort of get paid so then I can pay my brother back because I owe him still $400 that he helped me pay my college with, and he needs it right now to pay for his college. So I'm trying to get him his money back as quickly as possible. Although I technically owe him more than that, but he only wants to call in that $400 part. I still owe him for the cost of my computer because he helped me out with that as well. Even though I give him crap for him giving me crap, he is pretty helpful from time to time. He'll make sure I get food when I'm not eating, make sure I'm actually drinking fluids and stuff. He's a bit of a dick about it, but he's a nice dick about it. Speaking of which, I gotta remember to go to the store here later tonight and go pick up some food. So this will load up. I need to actually get back to working on separating out the mod compatibility again, so that way I don't have to load up open computers every time I'm testing. The only reason we have open computers in here in the first place is so I can test mod support for things like ICBM. But I need to get them out of the test folder, that way this stuff loads up faster. Because when you take the fact that you've got multiple large mods, you got IC2, Tinkers, and Open Computers are decent sized mods, with IC2 being rather big. If I remove those out of the workspace, my load time should at least go down by 30%, if not more. Because right now, like, ICBM is not a really big mod. I mean, it has a lot of content in it, but most of the content is just explosives, which take like no time to register. The only thing we have that has a significant amount of content is Volt's engine itself has a lot of ores in it, a lot of items and stuff, but even those don't take long to register. But when you look at like IC2 and stuff, its content just takes an enormous amount of register time because it just has a lot of stuff in it. I mean, there's only a certain amount of point you can optimize things, although I believe IC2 could probably optimize itself even further to improve load time. I know that they're trying. They've been doing things like threaded loading, which I consider doing myself because it would actually work. Especially considering a lot of my systems are not based on certain things. Okay, so reload this. I might just do a creative mode bypass on the reload system. Okay, so we're getting our velocity corrections now. It just like emptied a clip into that RPG round, but I don't know if it killed it. So that's the biggest problem now, is that I don't think we have a way to blow the projectiles up, because I believe they're being shot. So what I'm going to go do is I'm going to force the velocity down to like a really low value real quick. So we're going to go 0.01, so I can just watch this thing float by the sentry gun. What the hell happened there? You having fun there, little RPG round? You going on a journey? This is kind of cool and funny at the same time. Reminds me of some of the Reika's magic missile stuff. This stuff has like a really low velocity like this too. You gonna hit it? You gonna hit it? Boom! That's actually kind of cool. I might actually make some projectiles that are literally that small. What is with that angle there? There's a bug definitely with something here. But the thing we want to test though is if he is trying to shoot at stuff. There's something wrong with this. There are some aiming problems with the projectile. This might be because the velocity's been nerfed so low. Hold on. I got a way to fix this. Normalize. That should fix it. It helped. Oh, god damn it. Plan B. So we need to get the direction of the projectile. And I'm trying to think of how to do this. So we're gonna go to projectile.toPause. I think that'll work. That just gave us the same result, which didn't make any sense. So X, Y, Z. Is there a set throwable heading screwed up? Okay, so let's get rid of set. Actually, let me take a look at the set throwable heading. Yeah, actually, no, I can probably fix it from up here. So set throwable heading, we get our velocity, which is created from our change in distance, because what we're trying to do is we're setting the distance. So that gets our velocity. Then we have a Gaussian random, which I've turned to 0, so it should turn off. I think it'll turn off. Actually, it's this. If this is greater than 0, okay, because I think the projectile should be set at 0 right now. So let's see if that's what's actually causing our problem. Yeah, I think it was it, because we're now getting some accuracy here. And as soon as I said that, that just went like 30 degrees off to the left. Oh man. So that post I showed earlier, which was like, we both practice and theory have come into play. Nothing is working and we don't know why. This is exactly what's happening right now. This is the reason why I call programming that same mentality. Let's make sure this isn't running real quick. Okay, that code's not even running, so we're good there. I think I know how to do it. Yeah, I know exactly how to do this now. Okay, so what I need to do, so we've got our headings here. We need to kind of normalize them. What just happened there? God damn it, why did it throw me all the way to the bottom? I lost my position because of that too. There we go. Okay, so this is what our heading is pretty much being set to. So this will set our throwable heading. It normalizes it for us by dividing it by the velocity. So it gets us our x, y, z. And then multiplies it by the multiplier, which we're not multiplying it by anything. The problem is it's basically setting our round as a supersonic round when it does this. But we needed to do this because the reason we need to do this is because of the rotation is what we actually needed to do it for. So maybe we can pull the rotation and then do it that way. Or we could try times equaling this. There's a few options we have available. I'm going to go with maybe the most simplistic option altogether. Is what we're going to do is we're just going to times equal the velocity outcome by that. We're going to have to do some math here later to make this work properly, but this will get us, at least maybe it'll fix the accuracy problem. That's probably why it wasn't messing with the velocity before, so we were having issues with aiming because of it. It's not as bad. Okay, it's pretty bad. Okay, so we can't do that. So that we can't be messing with it this way. So what we're doing is we're setting a throwable heading by getting the distance between 2 points. What we need to do is we need to normalize these guys and come up with a vector that ends up being closer to what we're trying to do. So this literally needs to be the amount of distance we can travel in one tick is what this needs to be. 'Cause that's how they kind of do it here. We get the velocity and then we normalize. This is what this is normalization. Which normalizing it brings it down to a value between 0 and 1. So that way you get a direction rather than you getting everything else. So we get velocity, multiplier. So they do the multiplier down here, which we just set to 1 right now. And they normalize by the velocity so you get the direction. So maybe we just need to put our speed right here. So 0.1 F. Let's see if that works. I think it's a little closer. Yeah, it's close-ish. We're having some accuracy problems just because I think it's launching from my lower right rather than what a lot of the other stuff is. Yeah, that'll work perfectly fine. So now I can aim at the sentry gun. And we can watch to see if it's gonna... Yeah, it's shooting at it. It's shooting at something. Okay, this tells me that the projectiles can't take damage right now. So that means we'll have to fix that. So at least we fixed this. So this is basically needs to be next round dot get projectile velocity. So we figured that out. And then we'll have inaccuracy right here, which I believe we can just do next round dot get... There's not like a system for this. Where's next round even passed in at? So IMO data. We'll work on inaccuracy later. Inaccuracy is actually created by the round traveling, not by the way it's done here. Technically, we'd have some inaccuracy from the gun itself, but we don't have a handler for that, I don't think. Actually, we might. We might have, is there gun data? Gun data dot... Get firing rate. Get projectile spawn offset. That's what was actually causing the round to spawn to my lower right rather than where I'm aiming at. We'll have to work on getting it more and more accurate. There should be a method for this, actually. I think it's get fall off. We're actually just going to pop over to this real quick. We don't have data for it. I know there is a method in there for it, but it just must not be implemented just yet. So we're good here. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure the projectile is taking damage. And the weird thing is, it should actually have HP already. Because we already have HP here, so we initialize with the amount of health. If has health, yeah, has health is not set. So what we want to do is not in this class. We want to do this one, and we want to go if. And we want to get this stuff here. Actually, we'll copy this whole thing. We want to go has health equals true, and then we want to go max health equals like 4. That's not going to make the current projectile shootable, but it'll make the next one shootable. And then on top of this, what we want to do is go... It actually means we can go to the super method real quick, so this should have a super method. Yes. No, okay, you're useless. There should be a can destroy, and what we do is just go has health. Would be the easiest way to handle that. And that means we can actually get rid of this whole method here later, but we're going to leave it there just for shits and giggles. Are you done shooting at things? Okay, you're done shooting at things, so we can fire the next one. As soon as it's done lining up, you'll start firing. And I think we're having a collision box problem. Yeah, I think we're having this is the same reason I think the AMS Turk was having problems shooting the missile, and the missile had the same issue. There was a collision box problem where it wasn't shooting it. So we're going to go to ICBM real quick and take a look at it and see what I did to fix that last time we were working on it. So content, missile, entity missile. I believe it's something as simple as just saying you can collide with it. I believe I originally removed the collision because people were shooting their feet with the missile launchers. Yeah, this still has the old health system in it. That needs to be removed. Yeah, can be collided with is the check we need. And then I have to go through and I have to change the damage types here. Like, not all damage types should be able to damage projectiles. If you shoot it with water and that water has a damage to it, it isn't going to do anything to the missile. You're just going to push it around. Unless it's like really high velocity water, which I doubt you're using. This does mean we're going to actually have to reload. Since we're going to have to reload, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I'm going to put this in here. And yeah, I'll let all projectiles be. Actually, you know what? There's one we don't want to do. So actually, we're going to go with ammo data equals null, or ammo data dot get projectile. Yeah, you're not gonna collide with the laser. And the reason why we're not gonna do this is the can be collided with check is used to see if I can collide with you, not you collide with me. So laser can collide with you, but you can't collide with lasers. You can't push the laser around. It's a piece of light. You can hit it, it'll hurt you, but you can't influence its positioning. But you can do that for the rockets, bullets, everything else. I don't care. Fragments, whatever, they can be pushed around. While we're at this, let me go ahead and strip the missile of its HP system. So it'll use the base HP system. Get rid of the hill, get rid of that stuff. Should be an entity we can get rid of. And then we want to go this dot has health equals true. And then where's the HP even set at? So there's something that actually says the HP on these missiles. I'm not sure where it's at. Hold on, I gotta undo a couple things here so I can see what the max health was. There was no max health. Okay. So there's something that sets the max health at some point in here. I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to make a thing for this real quick. So we set our max health here. What I'm going to do is I want to see what uses this actually. Okay, nothing really uses that. We're going to make a method for this. So we already have a method max health. We're just going to change this to 5. Then we're going to remove this. And then we're going to basically re-implement this wherever we need it at. So in this case, we're going to return 4. This will change. We're actually going to start storing HP per projectile later. And then on the missile, we'll implement the method as well. Weird thing is it already has that method. I want to say missiles have 20 HP. Actually, we need to scale by size. So we're going to go, actually we'll go like you have like 2 HP by default, and we're going to go, okay, if missile doesn't equal null, then we're going to go missile dot get size. Yeah, get missile size as an integer value. And we're going to switch on that. And then I'm going to go here because it'll tell me what size is, or it's just going to link to the missile casings. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because I want the large missile to have like 1,000 HP basically. You're not shooting that bitch down unless you hit it with like a fuck ton of crap. But the micros are only going to have like 2 HP. They're small. Small missiles 5, standards 20. Something like that. So case 0, return 2, case 1, return. I'm actually going to give those a little bit more HP. Case 2, we're going to return, say, 30. Case 4, return 100. And then case 5, return, like, 1,000. You're not going to shoot down a large missile, basically. The only way to shoot down a large missile is to hit it with another missile. So you're going to have to, like, to bring down a large missile, you're going to have to hit it with a medium anti-air missile. And to bring down a medium anti-mirror missile, it's advisable to use a small. Actually, would be. You can actually probably use the standard to kill all these big ones. It probably would work. They're going to be EMP resistance by default. Actually, most missiles by default are EMP resistance, so don't expect the IC beam default wants to go out of the sky every time you fire an EMP. Realistically, EMPs don't work on airborne objects to start with. It has to be a really strong EMP to work. The reason for this is it's the same reason a plane can get hit by a lightning bolt and not suffer damage. It's because you're not grounded, so there's nowhere for that energy to go. It just kind of builds up on the casing. Now, it can still cause damage, so I'm going to say an EMP is going to take away HP on the missile and could potentially fry the guidance system. But remember, not all the missiles are actually electrically based. The current missiles that are built into the game right now are actually mechanical. I actually haven't finished off all the electrical stuff for them. But this will work. This will get us going. Should get our default down here too. Get us some HP. We're now using the existing HP system. And this, well, we're overriding our attack from damage, which will be fine. Let me just make sure the super on this one works. Oh wow, that's useless. Okay. We're going to copy this. And we're going to come down here, we're going to put this down here, and then do this. So when we're destroyed, we're going to set off this. And we need to do like a to-do thing here. To-do, change scale of explosion based on damage type. So if you blow it up with another explosion, the explosion may be to scale. But if you blow it up with like a laser or something, it may not go off at all. There's going to be a lot of things we're going to do. There's a couple theories I want to test here. I was trying to think of like how in real life could I stop a bomb from hitting the ground? And one of those ideas I came up with was like a foam style system, and I want to test it inside of here, and I might develop that actually in real life because I'm kind of really curious if that is a thing that would be practical to develop a missile that doesn't impact the target. It'll capture it and make it fall to the ground slowly. Because if you hit it at something like in a bomb and it goes off, or if you hit a bomb with something, it's going to go off. Even if you just intended to capture and bring it to the ground slowly, if you hit it really fast, it's going to go off. So the ideal is you need to capture it at its almost the same speed, and then you need to slow it down, and then you need to prevent its detonator from going off. And the reason I was thinking about this is I was watching some CNN coverage of, needless to say, some really nasty shit going on in Syria, and it's like, well, you could shoot a bomb and make it blow up in the air, but if you shoot a gas bomb and it goes off in the air, you just increased its dispersion radius, and you just made it go from bad to really bad in your attempt to prevent it from hitting the ground. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're good here. So we should have HP now on this, and then what we're gonna do here is to do get HP based on ammo. So we're going to have some ammo types that are going to be stronger and some will be weaker. This will come into play later. You'll have ordnance and stuff. So you have like mortar shells, and you can make a stronger mortar shell that you can't shoot down. That's actually... I'll leave that as a grenade projectile type because it's basically a grenade. I have a feeling I'm going to end up renaming grenade to explosive. But that doesn't work either because you get an artillery shell, which could be a solid slug. Actually, an artillery shell would be a bullet, but then if it has HE, it's a grenade. There's going to be so many subtypes that I'm going to have to program into this game. Because the Army mods plan to basically allow you to build any type of weapon you want to build. This means you're going to have bombs in there, you're going to have guided missiles, you're going to have grenades, grenade launchers, artillery, mortars, cannon shells, cluster shots, beehive shots. By the way, I'm not talking about like bees as in actual bees, where the beehive shots are basically it's a metal dart that shoots out of a cannon. The US Army uses them in tanks to shoot at small vehicles, although they really mess up the tank's barrels. I plan to get all that stuff in there, because right now the system supports most of that already, so I can do a B shot right now without much of a problem. I just have to program it. And it already does cannon shells, because a cannon shell is just an oversized bullet. I'm actually hoping to get some artillery built into, well, it won't be built into Army, it'll be a part of an add-on, but get some actually into Minecraft here pretty soon. Because it'd be kind of cool to have some artillery. It won't be too hard to program. Basically, it's a sentry gun. That's the way I'm looking at it, is artillery would be programmed as a sentry gun that's manually aimed. So it would not have an AI, it would be a non-AI based sentry. And you would be able to rotate it. You'd be able to adjust the windage on the artillery, which windage is your left and right, and then your arc, which would be up and down. And there'll be some animations, there'll be some setup time, so it'll be kind of slow to aim them, but you can aim them and then fire them. And then I'll have AI-driven versions you'll be able to make, and then when I get the Artillex working, you'll be able to take a manually aimed turret and make it an AI turret just by simply putting an infantry man on it. Because the plan is I want to be able to replicate World War I here eventually, by the way, which is where I'm heading with this. Did we just load into the world and then it backed us out? I think it did, but I wasn't paying attention. I can't tell if the sentry gun is just flat missing the shot or what's going on. You know what, we're just going to say everything has health. Of course, it's still trying to shoot at the one that's out there in the distance. I'll fix that real quick. There we go. There's some rotation math that still has to be fixed. You saw it rotate all the way around. That's an error where it thinks the closest distance to rotate is around that way. Okay, so we're gonna have to do some detection math to see if it's actually is hitting the target. Actually, the easiest way to do this would be to check to see if our attack source is working. And then we're going to have to test the missiles here in a bit to make sure they're still functional. Has health, damage can harm. Okay, damage can harm has failed. So we're going to hit play again on that, and we're going to go into this. Can damage, entity living, oh, yeah. True on this. This is some legacy code, which is why it's, we're not casting this, so... Move this shit out here. Do that. Move this up. Don't need this. So there's our creative mode check, which isn't running properly. His machine isn't even implemented, so this is going to be... Yeah. Okay, so this will work. Just legacy code where the sentries were programmed to be only able to shoot at living targets for the longest time. And we just crashed. Okay. Set health. How did we null point a data watcher? Is a data watcher null? I don't think it is. Yes, yes. Control Alt F7, yes. Okay, you're gonna be a little annoying to mess with. So we edit, find usage with settings, project and libraries, find Yes. Yes. And then I want to find where it's written at. Okay, so when the entity is created, data watcher is created, so it should never be null. Yet somehow we're getting a null point at some point in here. Where is this being called from? Okay, this is what's happening. Huh. Okay, that's not it either. Set health, attack from damage. So this dot set health. It doesn't make any sense. Update object. The null is actually coming from inside. Okay, so it's not the data watcher is null. It's something inside of the data watcher that's null. Object not equal, watchable object dot get object. So our watchable object is null because we're getting our object for ID, which means something didn't initialize properly. But we have our object 6 here, which is set to health, which shouldn't be a thing. Okay, so move that, remove that. Remove that. That's why I hate data watchers. They're a bit annoying. They have a tendency just to not want to work. I think, though, that should do the trick. It says we still have a problem here. Okay, we're going to want to do set health. Where's our missile at, by the way, since it's doing its own little set health thing right here? Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay, we're good there. We're going to launch again and see if that fixes itself. It's a strange bug, and if it breaks again, I'm just going to remove the data watcher. So there's a reason why I rarely use them. They're really cool systems because every time you go to change a value, it'll update the client for you automatically, which is kind of nice. But when they just break randomly on you. There's probably an explanation because it's not actually random, but it feels like that. As clearly, we had set the health of that object earlier, and yet all of a sudden it no longer had any of its stuff. One thing I can think of is maybe the initialized entity is not being used properly. Oh shit, it's not. That's retarded. That explains why it broke right there. The thing I actually sat there was thinking over, like, what is all the possibilities that could cause an issue like that? And my brain went immediately to this because I've had this happen before where this is the problem where you always want to make sure you're supering a method set, because if you don't, you're going to have problems. That's the reason why even if I have an empty method in the super, I will always super it, because down the road what I could do is say, okay, that super method no longer is going to be empty. We're going to put some logic in there. All of a sudden the logic isn't running. I've broken I don't know how much stuff that way. And there's no easy way to indicate it. You have to literally just look through the code and start looking for obvious stuff. When the obvious stuff doesn't work, you have to start looking for the stupid stuff. This is one of the stupid things. So the reason this happened is we changed entity projectile to extend entity base, and originally it was extending entity. Entity forces you to implement this, but it's going to implement as an empty method because there's no super, because super is abstract. So yeah, this is where I need to create a plugin for IntelliJ, or rather recreate, because I used to have one that did this. Didn't do it very well, but it did point out really basic problems like this. We're going to leave those open. We're almost done though. And I can move back on to working on ICBM stuff. Really want to get the 1.8 update out here pretty soon. Okay, so you just reloaded. Okay, it's working. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to make it explode if it has an explosive. Okay. So what we want to do is... Okay, we don't have a system for this. Also, really quickly... Actually, I needed to keep that. What I was going to do is I wanted to test to see if the ICBM missiles are still shootable. Because that one's more important right now. Oh, come on. You're really having trouble tracking that today? Like, up your tracking speed. Okay, it killed it. A lot of work I gotta do with the sentry guns. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and just save and quit this because the next part is perfectly good. So I'm gonna end the video here and I'll be back later.